no cut.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Chris and I'm joined again with the founder, Tim O'Neill, and we're going to talk a little bit about your breakdown of the rally LSPR. We've got 3 big learning points from the rally, so we're going to talk about don't cuts, LED rally lights, and we're going to talk about what it's like to lose a championship. So here we go. So first thing, Tim, I want to show you a video, your in-car video from LSPR where you might not have listened. And I'd like to get
or
your
maybe
thoughts.
I listened too much.
Yeah, well, I would like to get your thoughts on what you think happened in this moment.
Oh no, not this one.
Into left 3 over crest down.
Oh,
Right
here's
3
our left 3.
loose.
So this is the last stage of the rally.
Into left 3, no cut. Opens long.
Okay.
20.
No cut. What does that mean?
Oh, no cut.
Oh, shit, you said don't cut.
Did I say the
Right
word?
4 over crest. Over finish 30.
That's bad.
5 minus over small crest, short shutdown.
Why do people do that?
Yeah, so we've talked about this before, right? And I'd like to get your thoughts on how did that get in your notes, and what are your thoughts about saying don't cut or don't do anything?
No, that is exactly what I felt the problem was co-driver was absolutely right. You should not cut that. There was a big ditch there. And when I heard don't cut, I guess I decided it's time to cut. It's sort of the same thing with me when there's a road on the right and you got to go left and they say don't go right. I want to go right because I hear right. But this case, don't cut, I heard cut.
Right.
It was also, the other issue too is a long rally. It was the very last corner because when I cut, it bounced up and I almost took out the finish sign, the yellow board.
Right.
So it might be I relaxed just a few feet too early, you know. 2 days, 100 and something miles of rally, right to the last bit, and then I boogered up.
Right.
But something about, I know when I did it, I said, well, you told me not to cut. He goes, yeah. I said, well, don't do that anymore. Don't tell me not to cut.
Right. Yeah, the audio right after this will play in the video, but you say that right at the end there, and then you say you hope your daughter wasn't there to see that.
Yeah, no, she might have been.
Don't cut, you said. What's he mean by don't cut? Just hope my kid didn't see that.
But, you know, maybe stay out. Tell me what to do. Don't tell me what not to do because, you know, we're still children after all. And you tell somebody not to do something, and especially our species, it might find they're going to do it anyway.
Like, got lucky, you made it through, you didn't hit the timing board, and then you actually got second place in the whole rally. So how'd that feel?
Oh, it's really good. I needed, you know, I've gone through a lot this year, and going through and finishing the rally and going fairly quickly. You know, I think there's more left with me and the car. I can definitely go better, I think, but I'm feeling this did 4 or 5 rallies this year, and it's finally this one came together, and that is my favorite rally.
Right, because it's tough. And why is it your favorite rally?
Well, it is the most difficult. I like challenges, so it's the most challenging one, and it's that time of the year with beautiful foliage with pretty good weather, but it's always like some places it's muddy, some places it's greasy, sometimes it snows. It's like some other rallies where you got to bring like 5 different types of tires. You know, different compounds, different tread patterns. You really needed all that.
It did snow too, right?
It did.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And some of the road froze a little bit, and so the conditions are tricky. So you know, this rally, POR, press on regardless, was what this rally was, and it always seemed to me that the finishing rate was pretty low. Most people didn't finish the rally. Matter of fact, this rally, the POR rally, I always heard from people before I ever went out west, they've been 5 years trying to finish this rally and they could never finish the rally. And I remember telling that person, they must be, you know, you're a loser. How could you possibly not finish that same rally 5 times in a row? And I found myself for 5 years in a row, I didn't finish right after I had said that. It's always something, you know, the alternator that never fails, you know. Used to be on Halloween and a full moon, you know. It seemed like it's always been a challenge for me to get to the end. And it's just like that. You know, you could not put a wheel wrong the whole rally, and that last stage, the simplest one, it would take you out.
All right, well, so let's transition into rally lights. So you have a lot of experience driving at night. The old days was a lot of night driving in rallies. It's a little less popular now. I think with volunteers and managing rallies, it's hard to get volunteers out in the middle of the night on most stages. But there were some night stages this year, and you're kind of working with a fairly new lighting setup. Is that accurate?
Well, yes. I mean, when the old days, back in the old days, you had regular lights with fluting on the lens. They were big and they were kind of dim, but they were bright enough so you could see the different color patterns, and you could tell a shiny road that's slippery from a dry road, and you could tell where it's red clay or blue clay or whatever. So you could tell the grip better at night with the old style lights. Modern lights, I've really only used them in the last few years. I found that they're so bright, they illuminate so well that they kind of cancel out any of the color tones. So you can't always tell where it's slippery and not slippery.
Right 5 tightens into left 6.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Left 6.
I found that I had a very difficult time the first night. Matter of fact, our customer Vivian and Leah and a few of the others are all beating me because, well, they're used to it maybe, braver possibly. But I found that I lost time at night mostly because I didn't trust my ability to judge the grip because of the lighting was just simply too bright.
Oh, too bright. Okay.
I think it's too bright. I think the LED lights, when they shine, when you get them in your eyes, it hurts. Right. So we used to always have, the pencil beams, drive lights, corner lights, and they all were 100-watt bulbs, and they just seemed like you could select the light for the right conditions, and then you can dim them, and it just seemed a lot easier to manage the light, especially in a rally like this that is muddy in the braking zones. That's where most people had their problems, where they thought they could go over the crest and they had 40 meters to slow down. Well, that 40 meters was just nothing but a mud pit, and they would lawn dart it right off the corners.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious, anyone that's watching that has rally experience, what are your guys' thoughts? Please leave some comments for us on the old rally lighting versus the new modern LED lighting. I only have a little bit of experience with the new lights, and Martin, my co-driver, was just yelling at me on how horrible it was to him, right? And I had the mechanics look at it, and it's like, it is what it is. And so Martin also didn't have experience with them, and he hates it, so.
Well, and it could be an old school thing that, we were raised that way, but honestly, I feel that if I'd have had the older lights, I wouldn't have lost as much time. And especially a tricky rally. A lot of rallies aren't tricky. You want as much light as you can get. But when you're dealing with various condition changes, the surface at that LSPR has always been sandy in some spots, clay in other spots. So when sand gets wet, it gets grippier. When clay gets wet, it gets slipperier. So now you have a combination, and then they have some gravel, nice gravel roads, and some that's all clay, and it's usually in the low areas where the clay settles.
How cool would that AMX look with some massive old school rally light
pod?
pod?
I think it needs those. Yeah.
It kind of fit with the car for
right,
sure.
It really does.
So last thing I wanted to touch with you is you've lost a rally championship once or twice, and something that happened at LSPR is Ken Block was trying to get his championship for the first time, and in an interview he said that he slowed down, and then that's when he crashed. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on pushing, and then gaining some confidence, slowing down, and that's what actually leads to your inability to keep a car on the road.
Well, you're right. I have blown it a few times like that. And the idea of when you're driving and you're trying really hard, you're at 100% concentration, and you're right on the limit. And that seems to be, when you've got it all figured out, that's where you need to be. So now you realize, okay, I'm winning the championship. All I need to do is get to the end. So I'm going to slow the car down. And that's okay if you slow the car down, but not slow down your 100% concentration. So it tends to be when you slow the car down, you also relax. And so I believe that's what Ken is saying, the same problem where you slow down to just get to the end, but you slow down mentally as well. And that's where you just don't notice the slippery surface, or your mind wanders. You start thinking about champagne spray, or it's better off for me, I have found, to charge right to the end. Because if I don't charge right to the end, I'll have a little brain failure and I'll make a mistake. So I think that's what he had done, was he decided, okay, the smart thing to do was to chill out and slow down a little bit, because he was winning by a significant margin.
Right.
But he might not have been used to slowing down the car, but not mentally slowing down.
He probably didn't have the experience of 80%, right? He's always seems at 100%.
Well, that's true, right? So he might have slowed down. You know, when I say slow down, it's 100 miles an hour. He's going through this one corner. He slowed down to 90. Right. That's still really fast. Right. And if you're not braking in early, and what I found also, in those conditions, you really couldn't charge the whole time. And you had to be 100% concentration, but drive at 80 or 90%. Because what I found where I lost time, where it would be, it would be a crest in, say, 50 meters, and then a tight corner. And I figured, well, I'll brake before the crest, because I don't know what's on the other side. And many times I did that, and on the other side was a triangle in the back of a car sticking out of the woods. And they thought, okay, same thing. I can brake late. I've been braking late. The last 20 corners I can brake late. So I'll brake late on this one. That's the one you shouldn't have. And your notes won't always show you that.
Right.
Because it was kind of dry maybe when you did your notes. But if you'd have looked, maybe you could see the way the terrain is. You know, I'm a dirt road buff, so I kind of look at if the ditches are there, the color of the soil, and I might put, you know, slippery when wet, you know.
Slippy, very long over 2 small crests.
Shut.
Right 5, tightens 4. Very, very slippery.
I'm going to take your word on it, this one.
I was very cautious and very conservative, and I do that with this rally. And there are many times I go flying by flat out, but those are the places I know I can. If I'm not sure, I check up with the brakes, I slow down a little bit more. And yes, it makes me finish in second place, because the guy beat me, Michael Hooper, he was not going slow. He was 3 minutes ahead or something like that.
He knows how to push that car pretty fast.
So yeah, it's very difficult when you're leading and you have to slow down and conserve your win. It's a very dangerous point, or I say it's a risky place, because mentally you can't slow down even if you physically slow down.
Right. It would have been interesting, yeah, if he would have made that corner regardless, if he was at 100%, because it was a very slippery corner that he went off. So
right.
Who knows for sure.
Right. Well, yeah. Then you know, the other thing that happens, I see a split mu. It's slippery on one side, and then when you brake hard, it pulls you to the side that's grippier. So if you got the right wheels on gravel and the left wheels on clay, and you brake hard, it'll tend to pull you that way. And I see some, I think, got caught out with braking in the split mu situation. But yeah, you can't really tell. I think the lights also play an effect, where maybe the other guys have been used to them, but I still say I couldn't tell what was real slippery and what was only marginally slippery.
Interesting. Well, as always, Tim, your insight is amazing, and it's something that I'm looking forward to applying more of this next year in my rally experience and career, and we're going to get you back out on the stages here in next year too. So our next video we're going to break down our season, and so join us for that video, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
50, left 5 minus, gets a crest, 120.